and he got in the house and jumped on my daughter. She was sleeping. So all I want you to do is picture you guys sleeping and somebody jump on your back with a knife to your throat, drag you out of your bed, and drive you to Baton Rouge. She jumped out on the interstate with no clothes on. So all I'm asking y'all is to just think about what y'all doing, because when he had my daughter, he promised her that he was gonna kill her and bury her body in Baton Rouge, and he was coming back for me. His hatred was toward me and my family. So he said he was coming back and kill all of us.
And we are about to watch the parole hearing for the man who did that crime. It was back in February 22nd, 2001, when he jumped into the bed with the knife, kidnapped her, put her in the car, and she jumped out of the car to save her own life. Now, Louisiana sentenced him to 50 somewhat years. His full term date is 2054, but here he is because of Act 122 up for parole. Now, before we watch this 2025 parole hearing, we will take a flashback to the past, his 2022 hearing, and it's done in a different format than we're accustomed to, so I hope you enjoy. I'll unpack it with details of the appeal after we wrap up both hearings. With that, let's jump in.
This is the matter of Troy Taylor, DOC number 130737. He is classified as a second felony offender. He has a parole eligibility date of August the 1st of 2021, an adjusted good time date of August the 12th of 2054, a full term date of January the 7th, 2060. He is currently serving a 58-year sentence on the charges of second-degree kidnapping, attempted second-degree murder, and first-degree robbery. Mr. Taylor, does that sound all accurate to you?
Yes, sir.
Your case has been assigned to Mr. Pete Freeman. Mr. Freeman will begin our interview process. Mr. Freeman?
Okay, Mr. Taylor, how old are you?
56, sir.
How long have you served on this charge?
22 years.
22. 22 out of 58 years and 10 months, correct? Okay. What's your educational level?
South in the ninth grade.
Okay. Have you done any educational programs since you've been in?
Completed the lyrics program.
Okay. Because it has on your sheet that you refuse education.
At the time I did, they kept
Okay.
giving us a TIL test, saying they need to upgrade the storage. So I actually, like the third time, I said I was going to refuse this time.
Okay. So, okay. On the third time you refuse. So you tried, you just,
Tried.
okay. All right. Mr. Taylor, tell us what was going through your mind that day and what led up to this kidnapping and attempted murder.
First, I would like to apologize to the victim, Mr. Conner Jones.
Okay,
Her
talk to
family,
us.
my Margie.
Just
Her
talk
mom,
to us.
Margie, all right. Her mom, Margie, and her dad, Ricky. And I'm not gonna blame the soul on drugs, because I know it's drugs. And I went to her house, you know what I'm saying, not thinking straight. My thinking was off at that time. I attacked her with a knife. And wound up kidnapping her in the car. Really, what happened in the house, I remember we lost in the house, how I got there. But I remember us being on the highway, she jumped out the car at the time.
Okay. Did you know her prior to this incident?
I've been knowing her since she was a little kid.
Okay. Did y'all have any kind of romantic
No kind
relationship?
of romantic relationship, was always on, I've been friends with the family for a long time.
Okay,
That
so
was-
you were just friends of the family. And you say you blacked out. You don't know why you did this.
Still don't know the deal for a while. She didn't date me nothing. I've been knowing the family. We had more like a amicable relationship, I was thinking, since I was like about 15 years old when I met him through her mother.
Okay. You have any children?
Yes, sir. Two sons.
Do you have contact with your kids?
Yes, sir. My youngest son, me, and him stay in contact.
Okay. Were you on drugs the day that this happened?
I've been on drugs 2 days prior to that. I've been on drugs that night.
Okay, what kind of drugs you on?
I've been on LSD and smoking crack, drinking.
Not a good combination. Okay, how old were you when you started using drugs?
I was about 19, I think, when I really started using drugs, heavy drugs.
Okay. Have you received any treatment for your drugs?
In 1998, I went to Blue Waters. I think it was Blue Waters.
Mhm.
99, I did 35 days at Blue Waters Treatment Center.
Okay. Have you taken any classes related to drugs since you've been in here?
Yes, sir. I've literally been in NA, AA, living in balance. I'm thinking for a change.
Okay, you out on parole when this happened, correct?
Yes, sir.
Were you seeing your parole officer?
Yes, sir.
Was he testing you?
Tested me like, I think I tested like 1 or 2 times.
Okay, and you were negative on those times, I take it. All right. I see you also got arrested in 1989. It was amended to first-degree robbery. It started out as an armed robbery. What was that about?
I wanted some crack money. I just spent all my money. I see something quick. I wanted to move some, smoke some.
Okay, and what kind of weapon did you have?
I didn't have a weapon. I had my hand on my shirt. Told the
Okay.
clerk I had a weapon.
And you were sentenced to 18 years DLC for that one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. How many times you out on supervision?
1 time.
So you only been on probation or parole once,
Yes, sir.
and then that one was revoked. Okay. Let's see. Let me get to this page. 38. Okay. The victim's here herself, so I'm not gonna read your statement. I'm gonna let you put it in your own words. But we did get a letter from the victim. We also got a letter from her mother. We got comments from law enforcement, which were basically opposed. If you could say something to your victim, what would you tell her?
I would tell her that I'm truly sorry, sincerely remorseful for what I did to you, Sakan. To you,
Yeah.
Margie.
Okay. Have you taken any victim accountability classes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What did you learn from that victim accountability class?
I learned the important thing I learned that I didn't just physically affected her what I did, it affected her mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And what I did didn't just affect her, it affected her family, her mother, her sister, her grandmother. It's like a ripple effect what I did. I just lost trust in the whole family. What I did, I hurt the whole family with the trust that they had in me.
Okay. What's gonna be your supervision plan and your sobriety plan if you get out?
Continue going to my substance abuse meetings religiously like I do here every week or twice a week, how many times it takes me to maintain my sobriety. I have no desire for no use of drugs anymore.
Okay. It doesn't show the victim class on here. Okay, you've had 8 write-ups. When was your last write-up?
2012,
And what was it for?
Rule 22, took a bottle of hot sauce out the kitchen.
Took a bottle of hot sauce out the kitchen. And when was your last write-up before that?
Ooh,
Yeah, I got it.
I think like 11, I think, or 10.
Let's see. You had one in 2010 or 26. unsanitary practice. You also have, 1 in 15, correct?
No, that was a PC when I was trying to get transferred.
And then a 22 on 2012. And, I misstated that you had, 40 write-ups since you've been in jail. Okay,
That was still, so that was only like 40 was the 8 right over like on this incarceration.
right.
Oh,
I know they back, but it's during the whole incarceration is what we're looking at. You have medium custody and you're a medium risk. Why is he a medium custody, Warden? Okay. And have you ever received any mental health treatment?
when I was at Hunt, I used to talk to mental health supervisor like weekly because I worked for him.
Oh, okay. But have you ever been on medicine, Mr. Lalone?
No, he is not.
Okay, thank you. All right, tell me why I should think about letting you out today. I mean, you've done 22 years on a 58-year sentence, so.
Probably till I was when I was 33 years old at the time I committed the crime. My life was unbalanced, was unmanageable. I was full of drugs. And when I come to prison, I didn't just stop doing drugs all of a sudden. I stumbled for a few years. I think it's around 2006 when I realized what I really did and how I hurt a young lady. And I said, it's time to clean myself up. I think it was around 2006 I started going to meetings and attending classes like this. I said, it's time for me to change self-responsibility for what I did. I have no desire for drugs. I'm not the same person I was back then. I'm a total different person, 56 years old. I love my mom. I love my dad since I've been here. I have no desire to commit no crime or live. My desire to live a drug-free life the rest of my life.
How long have you been in since your last revocation?
Since 2001.
Since 2001 was your last revocation? Okay. Tell me about any community service stuff you do around here, any clubs you belong to?
I played in the traveling band until the COVID came, but we served out in the public, playing at different events at nursing homes, at fairs and community events, serving the public.
Okay. What about the Pride program? You a member of Pride?
Yes, I've been a member of Pride since I've been here. I work over for Prison Enterprise in the Broader plant for the last 9 years since I've been here.
So you've been with Prison Enterprises most of the time?
2014.
Okay. Cage Your Rage. What did you learn from Cage Your Rage?
Cage Your Rage, how to control your anger, how to know your feelings, know the feelings of the other person responding to anger. If the situation is aroused, you have to know how to get space, be quiet, and just change the situation to a positive situation.
Okay. I have no further questions, Mr. Marabella.
Mr. Taylor, I've got one or two questions. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about your drug use. How old were you when you first started using drugs?
I was about 19 years old when I started.
Now, you've taken programs while you've been in prison.
Yes, sir.
Tell me what your triggers are.
My trigger was going back into old places, around old associates. I never was an angry person. I'm a good person. My drug didn't make me a bad person, but I overdid it one night that caused me to do what I did. The thing was, I didn't recognize my relapse symptoms.
How often were you using drugs at the time of the commission of this crime?
On a daily basis. Every Monday I worked in a mechanic shop in the daytime, work at a restaurant at night to supply my head.
So we can both agree that you're a drug addict?
Yes, sir, I would agree that I've had.
Now, you talked about your sobriety plan would be to go to classes and go to meetings.
Yes, sir.
Tell me how that looks to you. Tell me what you expect to do when you get out. Tell me what your meetings look like, what your plan is to stay sober.
My plan to stay sober is getting me a sponsor and pay attention to any relapse warning signs.
And what would be some of the relapse warning signs?
Relapse warning sign would be being around old places, around old friends, old associates I was around, or going back to the old trailer park where I used to hang and get the drugs. I know not to do that anymore. I have a new thinking, cognitive self-change, pay attention to my thinking, recognize the risk if I was to go back to one of those things.
Now, you said basically your triggers were places and things. And you said you were never an angry man. How about stress? How about problems with the world? I mean, you've been in prison for a long time. The world has changed. It's gotten a lot worse than when you were out. What happens when you can't find a job, when things don't go right, and you tend to go back to drugs? What would you do, and how would you combat that?
I was stay focused and not use negative. I would stay focused and use the higher power to continue going forward, not lean back on the past.
How often do you think you should be going to AA meetings?
I would like to go 99 meetings, 99 days, but here we only go like once every
Okay,
Saturday.
well, once the 90 days are over, how often do you
I
think you need to
continue
go?
It's only worse if you work.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that part. After the 90 days are over, how often do you think you need to go to
I've been
meetings?
going since every Saturday I've been going, literally. 9 days up, I still go.
Right.
Not just for the certificate, I go.
Right.
I work the
Okay.
program.
That's all the questions. Mr. Rochette?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
How you
How are
doing?
you? From 1989, 2001, you're a very violent person. Armed robbery, resisting the officer, attempted second-degree murder, second-degree kidnapping, attempted aggravated rape. If you agree with me that that's a violent person, you said you were on drugs.
Yes, sir.
Do you think drugs was the main reason for this violence?
I would hate to blame everything on drugs, but I would say my thinking when I'm on drugs is not the thinking like right now, like normal.
And I heard you say earlier that you're a new person, you're not the person you were at 33 years old. But there's some voices out there. The DA's in St. John the Baptist, the sheriff's office in St. John the Baptist. Even the judge made a comment that he's opposed to your early release. What do you tell those voices that think you are still the person that you were when you committed these crimes? You've been incarcerated since 2001. And they think you are a risk to public safety. What do you say to that?
I will apologize to those voices to tell them that I'm not the same drug user that I was back then from 1988 up until 2001.
You barely got 1/3 of the sentence.
That's up.
And you'll be on supervision for a very long time.
Yes, sir.
Can you handle supervision?
Yes, sir. I can handle supervision. I think I would say I'm allowed to. When I was on supervision before it wasn't a supervision, like I go see the parole officer every day. Once he allowed me to relax, I just lost my sense. All right, I can do what I want. Not saying that I need this to control my life, because drugs just I just let it do what it wants to me. But the dormitory and the family that I hurt know Troy before he even started drugs.
But there's so many restrictions on supervision. No alcohol.
No alcohol.
No
No
drugs.
drugs.
No casinos.
No casino.
If you have a no contact order, you can't be anywhere around the victim.
I can handle that, sir.
You didn't handle it very well last time.
Because when I come out the last time, the victim and our family allowed me to come stay with them. And I was clean then, but I went back to usual again.
Thank you, sir.
Warden, what can you tell us about Mr. Taylor?
Well, good morning, board. With Troy, like I said, I can't speak to anything prior to prison, but within the prison system, he does a good job. Like he's been in the, our embroidery plant since 2014, which is significant to be able to stay in that one job that long. He's done a good job, and his last write-up was 2012. He is a Pride member and prior band member. So within the confines of prison, he does a good job.
Thank you very much. Now we'll hear from your supporters. Ms. Bernetta Taylor. Ms. Taylor, can you hear us? Ms. Taylor, I believe you might be on mute. Could you unmute your microphone?
I'm here. I can hear you.
Good, thank you. Ms. Taylor, if you would introduce yourself and tell us what you'd like us to know about your brother.
My name is Bernetta Taylor. I'm Troy Taylor's sister. I'm here to speak on his behalf as far as his rehabilitation since being incarcerated, as far as what I see. I do believe he has changed a lot from the person that he was when first incarcerated. From me visiting, having telephone conversations, different things like that, writing letters. He's just a different person. I heard y'all ask him about, him being angry and things like that, but he was never like an angry person. He always was the clown of our family. Always kept everybody laughing, stuff like that. When we found out that he was on drugs, of course, it was a bad thing. I wasn't there the night that the incident happened, so I really don't know, how he was at that time, but just hearing, it was unbelievable. I didn't believe, along with the rest of my family, that that was actually him. But finding out it did something to us. I apologize to her family and her, because I'm sure they went through, I'm sorry, a whole lot, more, being that she is the victim, and not making any excuses for him, because, him using drugs, nobody should be using it. But it's life happens to all of us. With that being said, I just feel the person that he is now deserves another chance. Everything that we talked about, I feel like he's gonna stick to the plan as far as coming out, sticking to the programs that he needs to be a part of to keep his life on a straight and narrow. That's basically it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Taylor. We appreciate your comments. Mr. Mike McClendon.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Mr. McClendon, if you tell us who you are. Do you have something on over there, like YouTube or something?
Not YouTube.
Okay. There was some feedback. I don't know. I think it may have stopped. Mr. McClendon, if you go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us who you're with, and tell us what you'd like us to know.
My name is Michael McClendon. I'm a River Parish disposal. What I do, I'm one of the supervisors here. We deal with like reentry programs. We have we deal with a lot of inmates that come home and come to like rehabs and stuff, and we give them jobs. We got maybe out of 108 employees now. We have maybe 16, 17 that are in like reentry programs. I deal with we have to give like weekly updates and to like the probation officer. Some come around, visit, talk with us about their constituents or whatever. But I had one of the family members reached out to me, and I told him I was willing to give Mr. Troy a try, because that's what we do here at River Parish Disposal. We do give second chances. I mean, a lot of our drivers and workers, I mean, honestly, probably 40 to 60% of our workers are people who have convicted felons, deal with crimes.
Okay. Thank you very much. We appreciate your comments, Mr. McClendon. Now we'll hear from Miss Erlene Hayes, Mr. Taylor's sister. Ms. Hayes.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
My name is Erlene Hayes. I'm coming to you on behalf of my brother Troy Taylor. First, I want to ask forgiveness for what he did. And my heart goes out to the victim and her family because I know them very well. I think Troy has come a long way, and I know he's very forgiving for what he did. I don't know what happened that day or that night that brought him to this because he was very close to the family. We all was like family. Troy was like a brother to the victim mother and an uncle to the victim. So I don't know what happened, but I know Troy have changed tremendously from what I've seen from seeing him over these 22 years. He seemed like he's a different Troy, and I just hope that he can have another chance on proving himself that he have become a better man. And that's all I gotta say.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your comments, ma'am. Now we'll hear from the opponents. If you would introduce yourself and just tell us what you'd like us to know, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I'm the victim. It happened to me. And I'm still living with this 22 years later. I was sleeping in my bed 5:30 in the morning. 5:30 every day, still from 22 years ago, I still deal with it. Even the damn day still comes to me. Just being in the same room with him, I'm trembling. So, I mean, I am in therapy today, still behind this man. And, you know, it's just the thought of him even getting out traumatized me. It haunts me. It really, really is terrifying. The thought of it, even possibly, you know, can be a possibility after only 22 years. And knowing that, you know, he had to do 58 or 50 something hard time before he was even able to even come up with this. Of me even being faced with this man, you know, in the same room. I thought I would never see him until 50 years from now. You know what I'm saying? And I'm here now, and I'm just in disbelief that it's a possibility that this can happen. Because I mean, I can't even go out at nighttime by myself. I don't feel comfortable because it was dark time when I was stabbed and kidnapped. I was stabbed 4 times by this man that I trusted, that I called Uncle Troy, you know, as a little kid. It's hard for me to even trust people. I can't get into an elevator with a black man by myself today. You know, and I work nights because I cannot sleep, you know, at nighttime. I've been working nights since this incident because I cannot sleep. I chose to work nights because I have nightmares at nighttime. So that's why I work nights, and I've been working nights ever since. I sleep better in daytime because of this man. So, you know, that's my whole thought on this. That it's really traumatizing to me.
Johnson?
First of all, I want to clarify something that you said to you guys that we let him stay at our house. It was my mom's house. When she made 18, she asked to go stay with mother, and she was in my old vehicle. So it all happened at my mother's house. When he got out of prison from the first time, I think him and my mom conversated, and somehow, I don't know if he used her address, whatever, I don't know. But that's how he was coming around. And I used to see him in bad areas with the drugs and all that. So I told my mom, be careful, you letting him come by your house. I don't feel comfortable with him coming around you. You know, you up in age, drugs come in your house or something, you don't even know he might have it on him. And you don't know who's watching him, they might come raid her house. So I told her that, and I think she told him what I said and told him, you know, Margie don't feel you comfortable with you coming here. And we didn't want him around my mom's house. And I think that's what triggered it. He must have got angry. And she was living there. And he got in the house somehow. I don't know, 5:30 in the morning. He got in the house and he stabbed her. You know, when you go to bed, you put your keys on the table. And he took her car, dragged her to the car in her own car, and brought her all the way from the Flats to Baton Rouge. And he was telling her in the car what all he was gonna do her. So she was asking him, why are you doing this? My mama was like a sister to you. And he just kept, you know, she said his eyes was orange. Fire was coming out his eyes. Like she wasn't getting through to him. And that's when she said a voice told her to just open the door and jump out the car. So she jumped out the car to save herself because he told her he was going to kill her and bury her body in Baton Rouge. And he said, I'm going back and get your mom. So she jumping out the car. In her mind, she was like, I'm going to die trying to get back to my mom and save my mother because of what he told her in the car when he had her. So all I ask is that you guys think, because y'all let him out before, and you know, everybody welcoming him, and my mother did, I didn't, because I saw things that my mom didn't see. But like I said, she trusted him, and look what happened. Maybe if he would have served his whole time the first time, maybe we wouldn't be sitting here today. You know, y'all just gotta think about what y'all doing when y'all let people out. I understand you be rehabilitated, but was he rehabilitated in 2000 when y'all let him out? Or 1999, I can't remember what year it was. But I just ask that you think hard about what y'all doing, because people gotta be ready for the outside. You know, we shouldn't have to run around wondering if something gonna happen to us, you know, carrying a gun because we scared something might happen to us. You shouldn't have to live like that today, live in fear. So that's all I ask of you guys.
Thank you very much, ma'am. We appreciate your comments. Mr. Taylor, is there anything you'd like to say before the panel votes?
Sister Conrad, Sister Conrad, I apologize to you for what I
You need to
brought
speak to the board.
what I
Okay?
brought you through. Speak to y'all.
Yes,
All right.
speak to us. We don't want you to speak
All right.
directly to anyone else except for the board,
All right.
okay?
Yes, sir. Well, I apologize to the victim, Mr. Conrad Johnson, mother, Margie, for what I did to Mr. Conrad, for allowing myself to come to their house and did what I did to her. I'm not gonna sit there and blame it solely on drugs. What drugs do to people, I didn't think it ever happened to me. And everything she said had to happen. I can't deny it. The facts is undisputable. And I take full responsibility for what I did, but I just want them to know. And since they know, they never know, I never felt no kind of anger toward them, because I think a few days before that, this all happened, I was at Miss Martie's house helping them put a mattress in the house. And that's not no sign of anger or no kind of vendetta that I have against that family at all. They never did me nothing. I just asked one day, could they find any heart to forgive me? And I allowed him me that mental power of thinking that I would have come after them or something like that, because I hold no ill feelings in my heart for it at all.
Thank you very much. So, is the panel ready to vote?
Yes,
Mr. Freeman?
Okay, Mr. Taylor, like Mr. Roger stated, you served about 37% of your time. You know, I think you need to serve at least half. I think that you are on the right track. I think you're doing very, very well here in prison. But at this time, I do not think you're ready for release. So my vote is to deny.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Mr. Rocha?
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Taylor, based upon adamant opposition from the victim and the victim's family, very strong opposition from the DA's office in St. John the Baptist, opposition from the judge and the sheriff's office in the same jurisdiction, history of violence, poor supervision performance when you're on supervision the first time. My vote is to deny your request.
Thank you, Mr. Roche. Mr. Taylor, you've received 2 votes to deny your application for parole. My vote likewise would be the same. I would encourage you to continue to work hard. You're doing good work while you've been in prison. I think you need to look a little more deeply. I think there may be some anger issues and some other personal issues that you need to deal with, because staying sober isn't as easy as it looks on paper. You know that, you've been there. You were on parole, still doing drugs. So I think you need a little more work. You have 3 votes to deny your parole. Good luck to you, sir.
Now, frankly, that's an easy denial, and we're going to jump forward to the present day 2025 to see his next parole hearing. And I'll tell you, I don't think we've even heard, we haven't seen just how traumatic this case was. I don't think we were able to feel it from this parole hearing. I have the appeal. I've read through it, and it is just one of the most horrific cases. And I'm not crazy about that format. I'm happy they don't use it. As you can see, the microphones weren't evenly distributed, so you couldn't really hear him. I tried getting the volume right, but that's just not my specialty. But what I think we'll do is let's watch this next parole here. You know what? Before we jump in, let me just share with you. Let me share with you a quick brief of the appeal, so I think that you have a little more context before we jump into the next hearing. And here it is. So the facts of the case. The victim was 20 years old at the time of the incident in this case. At trial, she testified that she was known the defendant since she was a young girl. Her testimony revealed that on February 22nd, 2001, she was alone at a residence when she heard the door open. She remained in her bed sleeping until the defendant opened her bedroom door, jumped on her back, and put a knife to her throat. She testified that the defendant demanded to know where her purse was and responded by telling him that it was in the car. She stated that they fought in her bed, and then the defendant took her into the kitchen. She asked the defendant why he was behaving this way, and the defendant responded, "Don't say my name." The defendant then stated, "You say my name again and I'm going to stab you." She testified that she said the defendant's name again, at which point he stabbed her under the chin. She fought with the defendant and he stabbed her under the chin again. And I'm thinking, what does under the chin mean? Does that mean I'm not quite sure what that means. Is it like the chin under the neck? Or just, anyways, then she testified that the defendant brought her outside of the house and put her in her car. She was able to escape from the car and run towards her uncle's home, but the defendant, like a horror movie, pursued her and stabbed her once again under the chin and dragged her back to the car. You just can't imagine this. She stated that the defendant then drove into the interstate while she continued to plead with him to stop and bring her to a hospital. But the defendant kept driving. The defendant stated, "I'm going to do away with your body and your car where nobody will find you." She testified that the defendant stripped her naked in the vehicle and thereafter touched her. As they traveled along the interstate and approached in Baton Rouge, she opened the door and jumped out of the vehicle, which is traveling 60 miles an hour. She testified that after jumping from the vehicle, she stopped a van, jumped inside. The driver of the van exited the lane and dialed 911 when the ambulance and police arrived. She stated that the attacker was the defendant, Troy Taylor. What a heroic act to ensure that she was not killed by this really monster. And then again, you just don't see it. You don't hear his empathy. You don't hear any relatability. This case is so horrific. Let's go jump in and see what happens.
Mr. Taylor, you're classified as a second felony offender. You're currently serving a 58-year sentence. You were sentenced in 1990 for first-degree robbery. You have another sentencing date in May of 2002 for attempted second-degree murder and second-degree kidnapping. You have a parole eligibility date, which was August 1st, 2021, and your good time date, your mandatory release date is August 12th, 2054. Is that information correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I know this is a rehearing for you, and I think we may have a little different format in that we want to hear your statement first. We'd like for you to tell the panel, why are you in prison? And why do you believe we ought to favorably vote for an early release today?
Yes, ma'am. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right. Ma'am, I was out one night drinking and doing drugs, and I'm not gonna sit there and blame my action on drugs. And I decided to go to a friend's house, like I normally would do. And somehow I wound up attacking Mr. Condra Johnson with a knife while she was in her bed sleeping. And we wound up doing the scuffling when she was trying to get the knife from me and pleading me to stop doing what I was doing. And I wound up, and I forced her into her car and took her to Baton Rouge where I almost stopped the car, and she jumped out of the car to save herself. And what I did, I shouldn't have been at that house. I wronged for what I did for being at the house in that condition I was in. And I've been knowing her for a long time. And I would like to see it from the start that I'm sincerely removed for the crime and the action that I caused Mr. Condra, mental and physically, for what I did to her. But I can tell you, ma'am, I'm not that same person that I was 24 and a half, almost 25 years ago, that drug using man that I was. I've changed. I took this time to rehabilitate myself. I entered the program that was here for me. When I came on parole back in 2022, I was denied parole for lack of rehabilitative programs. And I went up again to deny again for unsaturated parole supervision and victim opposition. But I continued on as a rehabilitated man and stayed at a model prisoner, and I continue to work. I've been working the same job here at Dixon Correctional Center for the last 10 and a half years. And I took my program for victim impact and I used it, and it made me realize years ago what I did not only affected Mr. Condra Johnson, it affected her family, my family, her mom, her sister, her grandmother, her auntie, the whole community of St. John, I would say, not knowing what I did. Because I remember years ago, I would go back, my sister told me, she came see me, she said, Troy, sometimes we do things in life not knowing how to affect people. And it really made me look, and I said, God, please be with me on this one year and ask for forgiveness. And I'm here today asking forgiveness for the crime I committed against Mr. Condra Johnson.
All right, we'll have some questions for you shortly.
Yes,
Ward
ma'am.
Smith, what can you tell us about Mr. Taylor?
So Mr. Taylor has completed several rehabilitative programs, Thinking for a Change, Cage of Rage, Victim Impact, as he spoke earlier. He has completed pre-release. He is currently enrolled in GED. I think he's been working on that for about 2 years now, trying to obtain his high set. He has worked at the embroidery plant here at DCI for almost 10 years, I think, almost the entire time that he's been at DCI. He's kind of Miss Reese's go-to guy in the embroidery side of the plant. I think he does most of the embroidery on our clothes. He hasn't had any write-ups. We don't really have a disciplinary problem with him. He, like you said, he is fairly ideal inmate. He goes to work, goes to school, and stays out of trouble.
All right, good to hear. Thank you. So we'll hear now from the folks who want to speak in support. Mr. Myers, with the Parole Project.
Good morning, Kerry Myers with Louisiana Parole Project. We're here to let the board know Mr. Taylor's rehabilitation is what impressed us. He has over 500 days of CTRP credits. After being denied twice already on parole, he didn't spiral. He continued to take that as encouragement. He continued to work on himself, which in itself is something that we believe that shows his character. It shows the maturity that he has. He's worked on his addiction. He has continued to take other programs that will benefit him in the future. Thinking for a Change, the Victim Awareness, Living in Balance, cognitive programs that helps him live the life he should have been living to start with. Those things have impressed us. He's been on the same job for 10 years. Stability, again, something that impressed us. He's working on his GED. He continues to work on it. He struggles with it a little bit, but the perseverance that he shows is also impressive. He's come a long way since in the 25 years he's been incarcerated. And again, this is what corrections is meant to do. It's the opportunities are there. Mr. Taylor's taken those opportunities and turned them into the ability to improve himself. We believe we know he has a long-term plan. It's a stable long-term plan with his family. Parole Project will provide him with the transitional services. He'll get an evaluation through our social workers. That'll be the first thing. So we would, ensure that he comply with recommendations from that evaluation. He'll learn things that he needs to know: financial management, technology. He'll learn how to function, social norms, consumer skills, the things that he absolutely needs to function in the world after 25 years. We would just ask this board to consider Mr. Taylor's hard work, his reentry plan, his long-term plan for residents, and grant his parole today.
Thank you. All right, on Zoom, we also have Ms. Patricia Scott. Scott, we'd like to hear from you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Scott, Troy's sister.
Yes, ma'am.
And from the time we went to see me, he began to be a good fellow, good brother. And then he asked for forgiveness. God would make a way for him and get on out of there. The other thing he doing, trying to get his GED and all that, and working hard.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And is that Mr. Tyrone Scott with you, who wants to also have some?
Yes.
Like to start? Go ahead.
Yes, I come to know Troy through his sister, and I just would like to also state and let the board know that I am the pastor of a local church out in the area where Mr. Troy, if the parole board was to release him, would be living. And at the church, we have a great mentor program, as well as we are involved with different self-help groups, NA, AA, and also that I am on my own business that the Lord allowed me to have, which employ people when the opportunity for a job open. And I am familiar with many individuals who are what we would refer to as a second chance individual, a third chance, who have come from out of incarceration, to give them an opportunity, because we know one thing that a person struggle with if they're not employed when they come from out of incarceration, it leads them to make bad decisions. So we try to make sure we're able to assist them in getting a job where they would be able to maintain a source of income to help themselves, to become able to manage money, not as well as just make it. And just on behalf that you may know is a passion that I have, also that I am the pastor, because over 20-something years ago myself, I was a dysfunctional person that had also wound up in the Louisiana correctional system. But since my release in 2003, I've been reformed, and I've obtained a lot of tools to help individuals that come out of incarceration, that they too may become productive citizens in the state of Louisiana, where they will no longer have to return back to institutions. So, whatever I can do, or the ministry, to help Mr. Troy become productive, body, soul, mind, spirit, financially, we will work in every area of that realm to make sure he stay the course and become a better decision maker. So that's sort of where I stand at. It's a passion that I have. And as I'm involved with prison ministry also out here in the local community where I live at. So that's pretty much my position, that, Lord permitting, you guys see fit to release him. He will have not only the gentleman that's spoken before me, but also of myself and the mentorship program and the support group of the local church where our pastor that also working along with.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you both for your remarks.
Yes, ma'am.
Now we'll hear from opposition. And we do have Ms. Secondra Bartholomew on Zoom. Ma'am, we're ready if you're ready.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. Today is still, this matter is still affecting me. I have not been the same for the last 25 years. To the fact that on Friday, just last Friday, I had a miscarriage behind the thought of this even happening again, me facing this man again that did this to me. So I just lost my child in the process of this whole trauma of reliving this again. To be here in front of all of you to relive this again. My nightmare started and everything all over again, fresh. And it's traumatizing to me to have to go through this again. And the possibility of this man even walking the face of this earth, because he does not deserve to, in my opinion, for is what I live with every day. I have 2 daughters that I'm trying to protect and make sure they safe on the face of this earth, my family. And his last words was to me, and I will never forget it, and it still haunts me to date, is that he been locked up so long, he know how to do away with my body in my car when nobody will never find me. And this is very traumatizing to me. It's very, very hard to even speak these words to you all and even have to relive this all over again.
Ms. Bartholomew, your input is very important to the process, and I'm sorry for your recent loss. And I know that appearing here today has been very difficult, and it is appreciated. Thank you.
Thank
you. We have here with us Ms. Martha Johnson. Do you want to say a few words?
Yeah, I'm here on behalf of my daughter because she wasn't able to be here. And I'm against Troy being released because my child was in bed sleeping 5 o'clock in the morning. And I don't know how he got in the house, but he managed to get in the house. He was on the street 3 o'clock in the morning. And he observed when my mother left the house at 5. And he got in the house and jumped on my daughter. She was sleeping. So all I want you to do is picture you guys sleeping and somebody jump on your back with a knife to your throat, drag you out of your bed and drive you to Baton Rouge. She jumped out on the interstate with no clothes on. So all I'm asking y'all is to just think about what y'all doing, because when he had my daughter, he promised her that he was gonna kill her and bury her body in Baton Rouge, and he was coming back for me. His hatred was toward me and my family. So he said he was coming back and kill all of us. So that's all I'm gonna leave y'all with, because it's on your hands, all of this here. Because people say they're rehabilitated, but evidently he wasn't, because he got out in 2000 and he used my mother. He called my mom from prison because he was a friend of the family. We treated him nice, fed him, he done ate from my mother's table and everything. So we all confused. Why would somebody you know would do this to your family? We still hurt. We still don't know why. And I'm devastated because, like I said, he left her with, if she hadn't jumped out that car on the interstate, she would not be here. She'll just be a missing child. We don't know what would have happened. And he would have been coming back for me. I wouldn't even know I was a target. But she said, Mama, I knew I was gonna die, so I was gonna die trying to get back to my mom, to save my mom. So that's why she jumped out that car before Cedar Lane. So every time I come to Baton Rouge, I'm picturing my child as Cedar Lane, buck naked with no clothes on. Nothing. That's all I got to say. Just think about what y'all doing, because you're putting all of us lives in jeopardy right now. And I don't have nothing against him, because I'm still shocked, wondering why he did this. What got in his mind to want to go in somebody's house and take them out of their bed 5:30 in the morning? And it was premeditated, because you waited and watched when my mom leave at 5:30, and that's when he went in that door and took my daughter. I mean, if you didn't mean no harm, you should have went knock on the door while my mother was still there. But he waited till she left and went to work, and he broke in there on my daughter. So all this was premeditated. He could say he don't remember, I don't care, but it's on him.
Thank you.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Johnson.
I'm sorry for breaking down, it just got to me.
Sure. All right, Mr. Taylor, your case was assigned to Mr. Barra. Please answer his questions.
Mr. Taylor, it looks like this family was very nice to you. And I even allowed you to live at their address when you paroled out the first time for your first-degree robbery charge. And then something went bad, which we still don't know what it is. But I guess my question would be is, why did it happen? What was the reason?
Normally if I'm out at night and I'm doing drugs, and what happened, I would sometimes might be in that area and I would go there and I would knock to her window, even if our grandmother was there, and they would let me in. I'll sit on the sofa sometimes, just smoke a cigarette or something. Or I still got drugs like that night there, I happened to be sitting there on that sofa. It's not intentionally waiting for Miss Wright to leave. It's just that time I was standing there talking to some guys, and I said, well, I'm a girl on in. I didn't know she had left or not. I knew it was late in the morning time. I went there and I knocked to her window, and she said, who is it? I said, Troy. She let me in. I said, I'm gonna hang out until I get up, give me a ride to reserve. And I sat on the sofa and I still had a little rock left, and I put it in my pipe and I started smoking it. I had been out all night doing them drugs, all night long. And the next thing I knew, I had to jump on her back and with a knife to her throat. And I only learned that what happened from that by her testifying at my trial. That's how I learned really what I did. Other than that, I didn't remember other than being in the car in Baton Rouge. And she even said that I asked her where the knife at. I lost control. And I thank Jesus every day for taking that knife out of my hand. I thank him every day for it today. I still thank him every day for taking the knife out of my hand. But I had no intention of going there and hurting Mr. Conley. I've been knowing her since she was a kid. That whole family been knowing me a long time. You know, I never had showed no signs of anger toward them. Even when I started back doing drugs again, when I was living there, they asked me to leave the house. I left the house like they asked me to. But still, we stayed in contact with each other. They'll let me come around, or they'll come get me to do things for them. Wash their car, check their car, cut grass, whatever the case was. I would go and do it. So I never held no kind of anger or ill feelings toward them. But like I said, I'm not gonna blame what I did to her. It's solely on drugs. It's on me for even going there. But it wasn't intentional. Because I would always go there, whether it's right there or not there.
Any other questions? But do know that you did this while you were on parole supervision for a previous violent crime.
Yes, sir.
You know, you shouldn't have been doing drugs, and none of this would have happened, and you realize that. That's my only question.
Warden, I noticed on his report that we got fair for his work. Is there any reason why he would be rated fair?
everything I see in here shows excellent.
That's why I was wondering, because I know you said he was the go-to guy, so we, you know, so, okay, thank you. I just wanted to clear that up. That's all I got.
Okay. Mr. Taylor, I saw you in 2022 before parole panel.
Yes, ma'am.
And I denied your parole, but I did mention that you benefit from substance abuse and programs. And I just want to say, since then you went to work, it looks like, doing that work. I see since then, right shortly after that hearing, I guess, you did the victim impact training, you took some anger management and some substance abuse. So I want to thank you for doing that work.
Yes, ma'am.
Which one of those programs did you get the most out of, would you say?
I would say all of them, but the main one is the victim impact class. For not knowing at the time by the state of mind I was in and the choice I made to go to Miss Johnson's house, and for the mental and physical pain that she had to go through because of my negative actions, not only affected her, it affected her mom, her little sister, her grandmother, her auntie, her whole family, my family, the whole community in that area of St. John Parish, who know me and trust me and know that the Troy that they know is not that Troy that does not like that. Yeah, 30 years ago, I robbed the store. I was on drugs. I wanted some more crack. I robbed the store. And what happened here, I never had no intention of going over there, but that victim impact class was one of the top ones that I took notice of that brought me back and made me remember that you can't just do things in life and not consider other people, how it affect other people.
I don't think there's any other questions. There is still the same opposition that you were told that at your last two hearings. That all that is still there. That hasn't changed. I think we're prepared to vote. Mr. Balrock?
Yeah, Mr. Taylor, today I have to vote to deny your parole again, based on the violent nature of the crime that you committed while you were on supervision for another violent crime. And the law enforcement opposition, the DA's office wrote a strong 2-page letter of opposition regarding you and your case, and the fact that you've only served less than half of your imposed sentence. So I suggest to you that you continue to take programs, continue to do the good work that you're doing there, and after you serve some more time, reapply.
Mr. Freeman?
I concur with Mr. Barra, and I also think that if they have it, you need a sex offender class. If I see a sex offender class, I feel a lot better about it. I definitely think you needed that. For my vote.
Okay. And Mr. Taylor, based on the testimony we've heard today, my vote today is to deny. I think you're going to get what you want at some point, but today's not the day. As Mr. Barra said, you haven't served even, half of your sentence. And I think we need a little more time and a little more program. I agree with Mr. Freeman, sex offender, you would benefit from that as well. But keep doing the good work, keep working, reapply when you can. But today your parole's being denied.
Now, I mean, let's be frank, with this parole board, they weren't going to grant. I wonder if the other states that we cover, Iowa would for sure grant, Connecticut, 50-50 maybe, depends who's on the board. The way that they'll look at it, well, no one was murdered. It's attempted murder. And we have seen people get out who have murdered, who have spent less time in prison. That's just the bottom line. Now, do you think, I guess you could say, do you think, and we'll pick up where we left off on the appeal in middle of the hearing. If you were skipping ahead, we covered what he did before the second hearing began, and we're going to pick up, and I'll leave a link to this appeal in the description. But would you, here's the problem, like, I do think that, I mean, you don't feel the remorse in him. I don't really, like, it's not like I feel it, like he connects to it. But could I believe that he actually doesn't have a memory of the crime? I mean, maybe he's so hopped up on whatever he's on that he doesn't remember, but that doesn't make me feel any better because he's one binge Like the violence is in him. That's who he is when he goes on narcotics. He breaks into a home with a knife, stabs her 3 times. Let me show you how badly hurt she was. And you just can't risk it. I would not risk it. I would not risk paroling someone who is just one binge away from becoming violent against you. The difference is, some people could be one binge away, and then they'll go and do shoplifting to get their next score. They'll do whatever it is that they need to do to get their next hit, but they're not going to go and break into someone's home and try to kidnap them. That's what makes them exceptionally dangerous. Okay, in my opinion. So she jumped out of the van, going at least around 60 miles an hour. A good Samaritan takes her in the vehicle, calls the police. And remember, this guy took this to trial. I don't know how he doesn't have a longer sentence, really. So she testified that she remained in the hospital for several days. While at the hospital, an artificial artery was placed in her throat. She required a pint of blood. For the nurses out there, let us know how severe that is. And she received 27 staples as well as stitches in her hands. She testified that the detective, Joseph, showed her a photographic lineup while she was still in the hospital. She identified the defendant as her attacker. What was he going for in this appeal? In this at this trial. On cross-examination, Sikandra testified that she had known the defendant since she was a young child, and that he had stated her residence for a brief period of time. She also testified that the defendant had never been violent in the past, nor did he appear to have been interested in her. The administrative assistant at the Lady Lake Hospital in Baton Rouge testified that morning, February 22nd, 2001, she was driving on Interstate I-10 when she saw a woman fly out of a moving vehicle. She testified that she saw someone stop to assist the female so she can continue to drive to work, which she called 911. She also testified that the driver of the vehicle from which the woman exited did not attempt to assist the woman. So they go through all of the different eyewitness. I wonder, what was he going for? I guess he figured he had nothing to lose. He's gonna go and spend the rest of his life in prison. So why not take it to trial? I wonder, what is it? Sufficient evidence was his appeal. Petitioner alleges that the evidence that supports conviction of attempted second-degree murder was insufficient. Specifically, he alleges that at most a rational tier of fact could have found him guilty. The lesser offense included aggravated battery. Petitioner argues that the prosecution failed to prove that he had any intentions of killing the petitioner. Concedes that the victim was seriously injured, but finally, petitioner argues that because he entered a plea of not guilty and not guilty by reason of insanity, that he presented the undisputable expert testimony of his insanity at the time. Well, insanity never works. Claiming he wasn't going to kill her, well, when you stab someone 3 times under the chin and the neck, nope, you don't get that one either. I'll put a link in the description. This is just a horrific case. You hear from the victims. I'd be very comfortable not paroling this man. How old is he? I can't recall. I can't recall. Let me see. It's let me see. Hold on. Okay, I got it. He's 58 years old. He's not looking great for 58. So 58, his full term date is 2054. Another 29 years. Yeah, it's gosh, God almighty. I don't know. You tell me. We will see him again. I'm guessing another 3 years. Can you imagine, as a victim, having to show up every 3 years? It's unreal. But anyways, with that, I'll let you go.
And he got in the house and jumped on my daughter. She was sleeping. So all I want you to do is picture you guys sleeping and somebody jump on your back with a knife to your throat, drag you out of your bed, and drive you to Baton Rouge, she jump out on the interstate with no clothes on. So all I'm asking y'all is to just think about what y'all doing, because when he had my daughter, he promised her that he was gonna kill her and bury her body in Baton Rouge, and he was coming back for me. His hatred was toward me and my family. So he said he was coming back and kill all of us.